Hello, and welcome to the channel, and welcome back if you've previously checked out my videos before. Thank you for coming back. So an update on some works in progress that I'm currently in the middle of. First, an update on the Wonder Woman, the Last Night on Earth. The hair, I'm currently in the middle of finishing the paint. Here it is. I'll paint it in black. It's pretty shiny right now, but once I apply the clear, that should knock off a little bit of the brightness, although I don't mind Wonder Woman having shiny jet black hair. So there's the update on this. Also, I've gone ahead and painted the rest of her head black just to match the hair. Once I apply it, so I don't want any part of her, the part of the head that had, like skin, the skin color on it. I painted that all black. I also did a little thing here. So Wonder Woman had a molded knife that plugged in on this side right here. I decided that since the knife was not removable, it was just, all one solid piece of plastic. I decided to cut that off, because if you remember in the first update, the knife was still intact and I had the lasso wrapped around behind the knife. So since the knife had no real purpose except for just being in the way, I cut that knife off and drilled a hole through the plastic there, and threaded the this cloth lasso that I had given her, and that works as the holder for the lasso. So there's that. Be very careful if you're gonna try and attempt this. Use a tiny drill bit first, and just work your way around it. And I was able to get three, how do you call it, threaded 3 times through. It's pretty tight. Okay, so there's that. I have an update on the what's this, the death metal Batman, or Last Night on Earth, I forget. I have removed the trench coat part from the piece here. I have it right over here. So this is the piece that I had removed, right, and kept the top part, like I had mentioned, for like shoulder pads. And then I was going to add a cape to the rest of it underneath. I did make a mistake here. You can see I added a buckle to the front, which is what I wanted, but I should have waited. I should have waited until I was going to start working on this with the cape, so that way I could have this piece splayed open, almost like a fillet, right? So that way I could have made the template for the cape better, instead of having to work around it and press, the cape to get the shape that I want. Like this, I could have just easily spread this out and work my way around it to get the what I needed to start working on the cape. But it skipped my mind. I glued the I took off these buckles from this lower part here on the trench coat here. Glued that right there on the front, and I just totally forgot about what I was gonna do with the cape. So yeah. So that's this piece right here. Also, I still have to figure out a way how this is going to remain attached. I thought about just maybe adding like some stretchy material underneath to go beneath the armpits, which again, I probably would have thought better if I could have just retained this piece that was already there. You know, this part goes underneath the armpits, right? So if I had just kept this attached to the original, I could have solved that part right there. But again, I didn't really think things through. I just did them, right? But again, that's how you live and learn. So there's that. Oh, and also this guy is gonna need some paint applications down here near the knees, because all of this, there are some straps that go from that are part of the boot, but some of this is part of the gray suit. So some of these parts are gonna get painted gray. All right. So there's that. Then something that I was just working on right now. This Evil-Lyn from the Masterverse line. Something that was bothering me a lot about her was the way they had this you know the crotch piece. It was a little too wide for my liking. Whereas before it's still wet because there's some droplets of water because I just pulled it out of the water a moment ago. When the legs were in a neutral position, she stood pretty wide, you could say, you know, something like this. So what I did is I removed the legs, right, and then with the Dremel right here, I use this piece to Dremel down this part of her crotch area, right? Being careful not to nick the, I guess you call, what do you call that? The stem from the where's my pointer? The stem from the that's where the ball joint is attached to, right here, right? So there's no way to remove the connecting pieces, right, where the legs going in from the ball joint. So I had to be real careful not to nick the stem of the ball joint. Otherwise, you know, I would have ruined the figure completely, right? So I carefully drilled around all of this lower part of the crotch, avoiding contact with the stem of the ball joint system here, and I was able to narrow down her crotch, and now she's able to close her legs a little more tighter now. You can even you can even see that she can even cross her legs now, one in front of the other. So it looks a little more feminine when she walks. You know, women tend to walk with their legs a little closer than men who, you know, have a wider, I don't know, step, you could say. So now her legs are a little closer. And I also did some minor adjustments here down at the kneecap. I just removed some of the plastic. You saw me do this with another figure before. I forget which one it was, where I would just remove a little. I think it was on one of the Wonder Womans. I removed some of the material here down by the lower on the kneecap. Yeah, it was the DC Direct Wonder Woman that I did this, just to give a little more forward lean on the leg, because as before, the leg would just sit a little too, not too straight, you could say, right? But now she has a little more forward flex, you know, like hyper flexing the knee a little forward, right? Or the shin a little forwards. So I did that as well. You can see that I did a little nick down there on the front, but with a little sanding and after applying a clear coat and some paint, some black paint, that's going to be invisible. So there's that. So yeah, if you're going to attempt this customization right here, be careful with when you're going to drill. Do not get even, try and get as close as you can to that stem of the ball joint, but don't touch it or else you're going to ruin the figure. So there's that. And then finally, just some testing here on the Masterverse figures, the He-Man and the Skeletor. So on He-Man here, I gave him the head from the Origins, the modern version of the Origin, the modern head. I tried to pop in the vintage looking head, but the thing is, with these Masterverse figures, at least this He-Man, and the Skeletor, the neck on these guys is really thin. Because if you remember, the original head on this guy is really small by comparison. So the neck on these guys is small, right? It's thin. So when I put on the vintage looking head, it looked weird, since the hair comes down to right about the chin, or not the chin, the cheek area around here on the jaw, by the jawline. It looks weird, the little skinny neck and the big head. So I decided to use the new head from the Origins line, since his hair is a little longer and it kind of hides the neck a little more, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the paint from the eyes, give him proper looking eyes, more realistic looking eyes, and then I'm going to repaint that whole figure to match the instead of matching the face to the body color, I'm gonna do the opposite, because this color, the skin color on this guy, is just a little too yellowish. He almost looks sickly. So the color on the Origins face, the head, it's much better. So I'm gonna attempt to repaint the whole body. Same with the Skeletor. Oh, I also gave him the strap from the Origins line as well, right? If you want to apply this one, you have to slide it up from underneath the feet, because this one doesn't come off. The straps don't come off, don't detach like the older ones, like on the Skeletor, right? So the He-Man figure, you need to slide the chest guard or whatever it's called from underneath, from the legs down. So I recommend heating it up to get a little more malleable. That way you're able to slide it up and flex it and put it on easier. Because the only bit that's difficult is getting it past the fluffy parts here and the thighs. Once it gets past here, everything is a piece of cake. So there's this, and here is the Skeletor. On Skeletor, I also did the same thing. So I swapped the head with the one from the Origins. This is the newer head. I don't have the one with the vintage head, but I think if I had the one with the vintage head, it would look just as the same. So because of he has the hood on top of the skull face, it hides the neck a little better, and it also rests a little lower. So the tiny neck isn't as visible. So if I were to get the vintage Skeletor, the vintage looking one, I'll probably use that head instead, or use both. I don't know. I'll maybe get two figures. I don't know. And he does have the chest piece from the Origins, right? Now this guy came a little loose. His joints are a little floppy, so I had to do some correcting. Add some I had to apply some nail polish to harden some of the joints, and now they're not so floppy. Although the one on the arms is a little, the shoulders, it's still a little floppy, as you can see. All right, so I don't know what I'm gonna do to harden that, because you can't really detach these arms. So we'll see about that. But all in all, I think these look great with the Masterverse figures, with the Origins line heads. Those look great. So that's an option you guys can work on if you feel like it. And that's about it. So just a quick update on some stuff that's in the works, and I'll probably finish some of these a little sooner than the others, right? I'll post the videos once the projects are done. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.